Why is it so hard for the left to find candidates who run on issues that voters actually, demonstrably care about? Joining us with the answer, or his sage view anyway, is Brit Hume. He is, of course, Fox's senior political analyst. So, Brit, it seems to me that this ought to be a much wider spread than we're looking at.
Well, remember this, though, Tucker. This is Newt Gingrich's old district. This is a very Republican district. And Tom Price, who is now the HHS secretary, whose seat this was, won the last time out by 24 percentage points. So while his margins over a period of time have shrunk, the last one was pretty big. So this is Republican country, and all of the things being equal, you would expect a relatively easy Republican victory. But all of the things, of course, are not equal. We have a highly controversial president
at all.
Now sporting a 36% approval rate, and we have Republicans in Congress, whom this candidate, Karen Handel, would like to join, who have so far been unable to pass any of the major things that they promised. So this is not the most opportune moment to be running for election to the House of Representatives as a Republican. And Ossoff, as you've noted, has attracted a great deal of money. In fact, you know, you mentioned, Tucker, that this is the most expensive race. It is like way the most expensive race. The nearest one, this one cost about $50 million, in excess of $50 million. The most expensive one before this was 5 years ago, and it was only about $30 million. So we are in the stratosphere here.
So you've got a president under 40%, a suburban district, and suburban Atlanta is changing, and these are basically pretty affluent voters who trend Democrat increasingly. You've got a Congress that's wildly unpopular. The Republicans control it. You can't tell me if the Democrats hadn't put up someone closer to the mold of Jim Webb, maybe a populist in economics, maybe not so far left on the social issues. Why wouldn't they be, I mean, why would there even be a race? I mean, despite the fact that this is historically that Tom Price carried it, I mean, why didn't they put up a candidate like that?
Well, one wonders why. It's a good question. I guess there are people in this country and in the Democratic Party that look at a guy like John Ossoff and say, hey, he's pretty cool. Documentary filmmaker, young, presents a new image for the party. He's been running, I might note, Tucker, on fiscal issues as a conservative. He's worried about government spending, he says. So he has tried, after starting out as kind of a lefty, to tailor himself more to the past preferences of this district. And I suppose you could argue that he's run a decent race. Obviously, it's close. He may yet win it. The consequences of it, though, Tucker, I think, are what have been exaggerated here.
What do you mean by that?
Well, this is being fought as if it was decisive, as if the political outcome going forward into 2018 will be foretold by this election. These special elections are interesting and they're fun to cover, and particularly when we haven't had a race in a while and we're all starved to cover something. But their record of predicting what's going to happen in the next round of actual elections, of scheduled elections, is pretty weak. And so I think, whatever happens tonight, I think will probably not be necessarily any kind of an omen of what's to come.
So is there a race between the end of the presidential race and the first congressional cycle that you think is a harbinger of the way things are going?
Not that I can see, but I'm just following these things over the long years. There's often excitement about some of these races. We've had a couple, and there have been some predictions that Democrats are going to reverse the tide. Democrats kind of can't believe that their party's not really in the ascendancy because they look at Donald Trump and they think this man is an unthinkable president. How can anybody support him or his party? Of course, that's what they thought before the election. And, of course, they lost the election. They lost control of the Senate. But I still think they look out across the country and they say, who are these people? Why are they voting for these Republicans? And until they can answer that question in a way that makes any sense, I think they're going to have trouble recovering. I guess Ossoff has made a crack at it here, Tucker, by trying to pose as a fiscal conservative of some kind. But so far, that's about it.
If you speak to the middle class, you'll win. I mean, that's my read, but what do I know? Britt, thanks a lot for joining us tonight.
You bet, Tucker.